The committee's report confirming the appointments.
Key players in the built environment are calling for sustainable solutions to address the pressing challenges in Nigeria's housing sector. This comes as industry players gathered at the 2025 edition of the Business Day Sustainable Building Conference. We have more in this report.
Key players in the built environment convened for this year's edition of the Business Day Sustainable Building Conference. This edition focused on sustainable practices and financing solutions for Nigeria's construction sector. Experts noted that building sustainable and eco-friendly structures is critical to driving a resilient economy. They stressed that without developing a sustainable economy, key national targets may remain out of reach.
Until we embrace an incentive-driven circular economy, we may not be able to resolve the issue of sustainability or achieve our sustainability goals. 60% is a whole lot organic waste generated on daily basis, and 40%. And Lagos spent over 30 billion naira on waste management on monthly basis. We should be able to compete favorably in terms of quality of deliveries and also in terms of price competitiveness.
A panel discussion highlighted innovative sustainable practices aimed at curbing building collapse and improving construction standards. Participants also raised concerns about the high cost of real estate in the country and called for continued efforts to address the issues.
The materials that we're supposed to use is already present in our environment. It's just that we are used to conventional buildings, conventional way of construction, which is what is depleting the earth and also increasing greenhouse gas in our environment, which we are talking about today and we want to reduce. So I'm talking about materials like compressed earth brick. We have laterite, we have stone.
It's not just about the developers alone, it has to set across all bodies. Government have their role to play, developers have their role to play, even finance institutions have their role to play. I actually recognize and I realize that the cost of money in Nigeria is very expensive, but at the same time, if all parties can be involved in a well-structured plan at the beginning, we will realize that we're going to eradicate this building collapse.
Durability, which is one of the key words in sustainability. How long do we want the building to last? And as such, that means we have to collaborate more, do what has been designed and implement them as they have been. Like that's ensuring that we have safe building production management process.
Practitioners reaffirmed their commitment to leading the conversation and connecting industry players to actionable solutions that can strengthen institutions and foster societal growth.
You're watching TVC News at 10. Up next is Business News with Tuloko Kujabi.
Thank you, Nifemi. Well, players in the capital market see the reformed tax laws as a good instrument for development. They want attention paid to implementing the laws. Efyongekop brings this report from the stock market.
Stock market professionals have welcomed the fourth tax laws signed by President Bola Tinubu on Thursday. In separate interviews with TVC News, market dealers said the Nigerian economy would be largely driven by expanded tax revenue with transparent accounting. Paying attention to companies' profits, capital gains, and dividends, stockbrokers said the tax laws would change the business landscape.
We want to have in our market small businesses listed. So the expansion in the economy and the reduced impact of these tax laws will promote, the growth and development of small businesses. For large corporates, they will make up for that significant impact.
Some of the taxes they have been paying before, maybe concerning their employees, have been taken out. Especially for some that have been categorized below a certain amount of salary at the moment.
The government is commended for using the new tax system as a means to redistribute wealth among citizens through income parity. VAT charges and distribution, which have been contentious issues, are also settled by the tax reform laws.
I think the new tax law has brought in a lot of fairness into the distribution of VAT, with a sizable portion of it reserved for derivation, for where VAT is derived. Because in the course of collecting VAT or deriving VAT from some areas, they are collected from areas that could be injurious. So those areas, they also need a lot of money plowed back to repair those damaged tissues.
The new tax system makes provision for survival of small businesses through tax exemption and rebates. Expectedly, big companies and corporations must carry higher tax burdens to oil the engines of the economy. Some analysts think that such measure could water down dividend payout, especially in the short run. They say proper implementation of the new tax system is key. Efyong Ekop, TVC News, Lagos.
The Africa Business Roundtable ABR, alongside leading financial stakeholders, have renewed calls for urgent action towards fully operationalizing the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA. This call was made at a high-level forum held on the sidelines of the AfCFTA annual meeting with theme Enhancing Domestic Capacities for Africa's Prosperity. Uloma Onyemachi reports.
On the sidelines of the AfCFTA annual meeting, attention shifted to the African Continental Free Trade Area, its current pace and the challenges to full implementation. In his opening remarks, the president of the NEPAD Business Group emphasized that the benefits of the AfCFTA can only be realized when countries invest in their own capacities to trade competitively.
The prerequisites for accomplishing this include these laudable aspirations, include the provision of enabling business environments and the required infrastructure.
In Egypt, we have 400 factories of medical consumer supplies, yet we still import on the continent from other parts of the world.
Other stakeholders, including AfCFTA, which reports $20 billion in intra-African trade investment in recent years, warned that the failure of AfCFTA would reflect a collective failure of the continent.
Based on the successes that we achieved under our new strategic plan from 2022 to 2026, we have actually doubled that amount, and we are on our course to disburse more than $40 billion to support intra-African trade.
Today we will start insights and chart strategies to strengthen institutions and regulatory frameworks, build resilient supply chains and industries.
The AfCFTA, being the largest free trade area in the world by number of countries, 54 countries to be precise, with a market size of over 1.3 billion people, the AfCFTA holds great promise for the economic development of the African continent.
With over 30 years of convening African business leaders, the African Business Roundtable says renewed commitment and collaboration will be key to unlocking AfCFTA's full potential.
30 years of dedication to Africa's economic resilience and growth is certainly a legacy worth honoring and celebrating.
As discussions deepen, the consensus is African countries must move from commitment to action if the continent is to truly benefit from the progressive policies made. Uloma Onyemachi, TVC News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, trade at the stock market ended the week in red as investors continued with sales pressure through profit takings. Index of the market came down by 0.65%, stressing the degree of price losses in many sectors. The biggest price decliners was Legend Internet with a 9.98% downgrade. Other losers in the window were Boa Cement, FTN Cocoa, Oando, and MC Nichols. Top price gainers were Nemet, Len Africa, Academy Press, Smurfit, and eTransact. Asian shares hit their highest level in more than 3 years today as they tracked Wall Street rally. But the U.S. dollar struggled on concerns about Federal Reserve's independence and expectations for early rate cuts. Now, stocks indexes worldwide look set to end the week on a positive note, with worries about the tensions in the Middle East. But MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside of Japan hit its highest level in November since November 2021. The gauge of stocks across the globe hits another high record for 4 straight sessions, with Eurostock 50 features and DAX features were both up 0.5%. FTSE were little changed. S&P 500 features and Nasdaq features tacked on 0.1% each. Japan's Nikkei jumped 1.4% and surpassed the 40,000 mark for the first time in 5 months. Stocks in Hong Kong, mainland China, traded marginally lower. For crude oil prices headed for their steepest weekly decline since March 2023, as the absence of significant supply disruptions from the Iran-Israel conflict saw risk premium evaporate. Now, the U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose to $65.65 with an upward review of 0.63%. For Brent crude futures, it sells for $68.12 with an uptick of 0.58%. Bonnie Light sells for $78.62 with a decline of 2.84%. And for the OPEC basket, dealers are offering $67.99 with a downward margin of 1.05%. That's business news at 10. Next is sports. Ikechukwu Obienu, it's over to you.